All right, let's get it. You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, we're going to look at some trades that the Warriors could make during this pivotal upcoming offseason because there's no doubt that the Warriors outside of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and hopefully Klay Thompson this upcoming season have to make a lot of changes to the roster so that they can get back to contending for NBA championships. So let's break it down a little bit. NBC Sports Bay Area did a really good job of putting together a list of 6 players that the Warriors could trade for during this pivotal offseason. And as I mentioned, the Warriors haven't made it to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. So beyond Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, I'd say anybody outside of that big 3 is up for grabs when it comes down to trade discussions. Now, because of the Warriors' cap situation, they are very tight on cash. A lot of these moves that the Warriors want to make for some big-ticket players will have to be done via trade so that they can get rid of salary in order to bring salary back. Here's how we're going to kind of do this show here on Warriors Today. We're going to take a look at every single player that the Warriors could trade for, according to NBC Sports Bay Area. We're also going to list the reasons for why these trades could happen, but also why they'd make sense for the current construction of this Warriors roster. Then at the end of looking at each player and possible trade, I'm either going to give the trade a thumbs up or a thumbs down. First, we'll look at some of the elite players. Lastly, we will look at some of the secondary options. So let's kick it off with Bradley Beal. I told you we're going to get to some star power. That's what we're doing with Bradley Beal, who this past season finished second in the NBA scoring title behind, Chef Curry. Could Beal ask out of his situation in Washington, D.C. with the Wizards, the organization that drafted him out of Florida that he's been with since 2012? That's the thing to monitor with Bradley Beal's status moving forward. And other than Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, the Wizards roster is extremely light on talent and bereft of talent. I'd really say Rui Hachimura is the only other guy that you really want to keep on that team. Anytime you have Raul Neto starting playoff games for you, that goes to show you do not have a deep roster at all. Could the Warriors maybe offer up Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, and 2 picks in exchange for Bradley Beal? That's what NBC Sports Bay Area discussed. What would the Warriors be getting back? One of the most elite bucket getters that we've seen in recent modern-day NBA history. Finished second in the scoring title behind Steph Curry. They were going back and forth for really the final 2 months of the season, and his shooting splits absolutely absurd when you consider how much volume there was with Bradley Beal taking a bevy of shots because he was really carrying the Wizards roster offensively. 31-plus points per game, shot nearly 49% from the floor, which, considering the fact that he chucks it up so many times, is a really elite number. Shot nearly 35% from 3, which is pretty solid, and almost 89% from the free throw line. So my Dubs homies watching right now, would you trade for Bradley Beal? Get your votes in the comment section down below and let me know. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you're thinking. If you would trade for Bradley Beal, I think he would make this roster extremely exciting. And my goodness, it would be shooting galore in Golden State with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Bradley Beal just lighting it up from distance. Let's move ahead to Paul George now. I don't think Paul George is going to go anywhere if the Clippers make a deep run in the playoffs. Of course, they're already in the second round, down 2-1 in the series to the Utah Jazz. But if the Clippers do collapse, I think Steve Ballmer, who's really aggressive running the Clippers, is going to make some major changes. And I think Paul George could be one of the players who Steve Ballmer looks to trade if they do want to keep Kawhi Leonard on this roster. And the Warriors do have pieces on the roster where they could offer up a pretty nice package for PG-13. You look at the raw numbers for this past season, and they were pretty solid, even though you consider Kawhi Leonard was taking many of the shots, especially down the stretch. North of 23 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, shooting almost 47% from the floor. And the fact that he's shooting north of 41% from distance, that's really good. So in terms of a trade for playoff P, he's a good player and a really solid two-way player. But I am just haunted by the fact that he has come up short in so many playoff games throughout his career, and he's doing it once again. He was much better in Game 3, but there are cobwebs hanging in the rafters of the Staples Center with all of the playoff clunkers that playoff P has turned in. So for me, I'm thumbs down on Paul George. I am thumbs up on Bradley Beal as we look at two of these moves to start off so far. So rate Paul George for me as a player. I know a bunch of you love playing NBA 2K. You like to hop on the sticks. If you played me, I'd probably kill you in the game. Rate Paul George as a player using the NBA 2K scale for me from 1 to 100. Rate him in the comment section down below. I'm going to go ahead and give him a solid 85. I do not think that he is an elite player in the NBA right now. Let's pivot to CJ McCollum. Portland Trail Blazers, they've already started shaking things up, rebuilding just a tad around Damian Lillard. They parted ways with Terry Stotts, who was the only coach that Damian Lillard knew since he came into the league from Weber State. The Dame-CJ duo at times has been flashy. I think Portland had plans for that duo to really be reminiscent of what Klay Thompson and Steph Curry did. They've had nowhere near the postseason success, though. The Dame-CJ duo has resulted in only one Western Conference Finals trip. That's why CJ McCollum could be on the trading block this offseason. And when you think of some trades that could materialize between the Warriors and the Trailblazers, maybe Andrew Wiggins for CJ straight up because their salaries are somewhat similar. Maybe a James Wiseman and or Kelly Oubre sign and trade for Robert Covington. Those are some trades that we're thinking about on today's show. McCollum's numbers, very similar to Paul George's, who we just showed you. 23 points per game, 45.8% from the floor, shot north of 40% from distance, dishes it out, 4.7 assists per game. Those are all really solid numbers. I'm just not sure the stylistic pairing with CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard is kind of suitable for making deep, consistent runs in the playoffs. And with Damian Lillard now in his 30s, he's been with the Trailblazers since 2012. Maybe the organization looks to split that duo up to bring some new pieces in to kind of rejuvenate that roster a little bit. If it does come down to an Andrew Wiggins for CJ McCollum swap, straight up, because these salaries are very equal and close, I'm going thumbs up on this trade. And that's coming from a person who has defended Andrew Wiggins a ton on Warriors today. I think he's overpaid. I do think he's underrated. I think Andrew Wiggins is a player who really reminds me a lot at this point of his career of Harrison Barnes. I think he's pretty good, especially the two-way component that he brings to the roster. But if it's Wiggins for McCollum, I'm going with the scoring upside of McCollum, and I'm making that trade if I am Bob Myers. This is what I want you to do right now. Once again, get into the comments, because here at Chat Sports, we are a very interactive YouTube channel. We love hearing from you and getting to know all of your opinions. So grade CJ McCollum as a player for me, A, B, C, D, or F. Get your single letter grades in the comment section down below. Like Paul George, I think CJ McCollum is a really solid B. A lot of people didn't expect that this guy would be pouring in 20, 25 points per game coming out of the basketball powerhouse that was Lehigh, right? Leading Lehigh over Duke in the NCAA tournament. He's really had a great career. I think he's going to be a really good broadcaster as well. But as a player, I'm giving him a solid B. Warriors Today is made possible today thanks to our friends at Newsbreak. This is the single best app on my phone. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go to chatsports.com/WarriorsNB. Using that link at the bottom of your screen, that will redirect you to the App Store, and you are able to download this app for free, and I guarantee you it will become the best app on your phone. But Warriors fans, we have some work to do, because here at Chat Sports, a lot of people have been downloading the Newsbreak app. On the Las Vegas Raiders report, just in the span of the last couple of days, 43 people have downloaded the Newsbreak app. Kansas City Chiefs channel, 23 people have downloaded the Newsbreak app. Only 8 of you, though, in the past couple of days have downloaded the Newsbreak app. So if you love what we're doing here at Chat Sports and on Warriors Today, make sure you download the Newsbreak app by using that link at the bottom of your screen. Why is that? Because on one single feed, you get it all. Your local news and weather, your politics, pop culture, and food. There are even local deals that allow you to save money on both products and food and beverages. Gives you entertainment options as well. And Warriors Today by Chat Sports has a page on the Newsbreak app. So smash that follow button and download the Newsbreak app today to support us here at Chat Sports. Let's take a look at some lesser known players who are more under the radar options for guys who the Warriors could trade for during this pivotal offseason where they have a lot of roster decisions to make. How about Brandon Ingram? The Pelicans last year gave Brandon Ingram a fat contract to the tune of 5 years, $158.2 million. I like Brandon Ingram's game, and I like the future that he has and the potential that he possesses. He's only 23 years old. The big question with the New Orleans Pelicans, how do they plan on building around Zion Williamson? And if it doesn't include Brandon Ingram on the roster because of maybe financial commitments or lack of fit, maybe the Pelicans could look to trade Brandon Ingram this upcoming offseason. Now, there haven't been any trade speculation or buzz on this front, but it's something that I think could pick up because Brandon Ingram at 23 years old just tuned in and put in really impressive season for a Pelicans team that once again missed the playoffs. Another reason why he could be on the move. This is a guy who can really score it at an efficient rate. Coming out of Duke, a lot of people compared him to Kevin Durant because of the body size there. I don't think he's ever going to be that type of player. In terms of scoring efficiency, though, he does give you that because he's knocking down shots at 46.6%. And from deep, he's improving year in and year out. So I like Brandon Ingram's game. In terms of his fit with the Golden State Warriors, I'm just on it. So I'm going to go ahead and give this possible trade a thumbs down. I honestly don't think that Brandon Ingram on this roster with the pieces on it right now would really move the needle all that much. And I'm not sure who you'd give up, to bring in Brandon Ingram. So I'm going to go ahead and give my thumbs down for this possible trade. What do you think, though? Let me know. Are you with me? Are you not? Are you thumbs up on Brandon Ingram? Are you thumbs down? Type TU for, yeah, I'm thumbs up, Chase. Brandon Ingram is a spectacular player, especially at his age. Type TD for thumbs down. Get into the comments and let me know. Move ahead with Jonas Valanciunes. My gosh, he had a great season for the Memphis Grizzlies, both in the regular season as well as the postseason. A lot of people didn't realize just how good he was because the Grizzlies, until they got to the NBA play-in tournament, didn't really get a lot of recognition nationally. Here's the thing, though. He's 29 years old, but the main pieces on that Grizzlies roster who, man, they're fast-tracking to success right now with Ja Morant, Dillon Brooks, as well as Jaren Jackson, are all 25 years old or younger. Jonas Valanciunes, on the other hand, is 29 years old. So how does he factor into the future of the Memphis Grizzlies and their plans? Maybe you offer up a sign-and trade and you sign Kelly Oubre Jr. to a contract, ship him to the Grizzlies because he fits more so their timetable as they continue to rebuild, and the Warriors, on the other hand, get the 29-year-old Valanciunes back. I talk about him having a really good season this past year. He was excellent, and he kind of gained some traction with the Toronto Raptors on that championship team back a couple years ago. But since then, he's kind of just not gotten the recognition that he deserves. But this past year, he was good. 17 points per game, 12.5 rebounds. He's going to give you around a block a night. He can also pass out of the low post as well. So this really intrigues me. And as maybe a backup option or a starting option ahead of James Wiseman or behind him, I'm going to give this trade a thumbs up. I really like Jonas Valanciunes and how he's playing right now. But my question for Memphis, why would you let him go? I understand that you have some of these young studs on the roster, like Ja Morant is 21 years old, Jaren Jackson might be 21, Dillon Brooks is 24. Valanciunes, combined with those guys, makes the Grizzlies formidable in the Western Conference moving forward. So if I'm running the Grizzlies, I wouldn't make that trade. If I'm Bob Myers, I would inquire about his services, so I'm giving this one a thumbs up. Do you think he would fit on the Warriors, though? Type G for good fit. Type W for it's a weird fit. I think people will go back and forth with this because James Wiseman is on the team right now. I think he'd be a good fit. I also think James Wiseman could play the 4 at times when Draymond isn't on the floor, or if you want to bring Valanciunes off the bench, you can do that as well. So I'll go ahead and type my G. Few more players that NBC Sports Bay Area threw out there as potential trade targets for the Warriors, these lesser-known guys. T.J. Warren of the Indiana Pacers only played in 4 games this year because he broke the navicular bone in his foot, but he can get buckets, average 15.5 points per game in those 4 games. Myles Turner is one of the better all-around centers in the league, averaged 12.5 points per game this year. I'd probably be out on Myles Turner. I would probably be all in on Malcolm Brogdon, averaging north of 21 points per game. I think his creation is really good as well. So too is his efficiency. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure any of these players really move the needle all that much for the Warriors. So as a combined package, as singular players, I'm going to give thumbs down for these Indiana Pacers coming into Golden State, because I think the Warriors could go after better options out on the trade market, and it was one of the latter trades that NBC Sports Bay Area did propose. But I do want to pose this question for you. Which player do you like the most out of all of the players that we listed on today's show? All you got to do is leave their name in the comment section down below. I'm going to go ahead and check the comments after I post this video to see what you all come up with. Do that right now. I'll probably go either Paul George or CJ McCollum. Make sure you're subscribed to Warriors Today, because every other day, multiple times a week, we're pushing out fun, entertaining videos like this one, and we're getting closer and closer to 18,000 subscribers. Let this be your off-season hub for everything that's happening around your Golden State Warriors. Either hit that red subscribe button down below or go to youtube.com/WarriorsTV.